All right. Episode 8, Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, Labyrinths. Yeah.
Contain your enthusiasm.
So this opens up and we're on a Breen ship, and I guess this is a funeral or some sort of ceremony for our deceased scion Locke. Primarch Run, I think his name is Run, he's trying to capitalize on this. You know, there's a Breen power struggle, and he's trying to galvanize his forces to say, we will fight on in the name of the Scion. Now, Moll's there, and since she's the wife of the Scion, despite the fact she's a human, I guess she gets to be involved in this. And Moll senses, I think she senses an opportunity, because she tells everyone, hey, I can bring back the Scion.
I can bring him back to you! The power we seek created life. In the words of someone who saw that power, it can also renew life.
So what this builds to basically is we're going to have this confrontation eventually between Run and Moll over who's really running the show. Yeah, that's what it ends up being. Not kidding. I don't give a shit about spoilers, clearly. We, in the end, get to find out who runs the show on this Breen ship. I'll get to that at the end, because, of course, it's a gem. Now, the Discovery's on the way to the Badlands, which, if you have actually watched Star Trek before all this crap started in 2009, you'll recognize the Badlands from DS9 and Voyager. Voyager, of course, was chasing down Chakotay's ship in the Badlands. The Maquis used the Badlands to hide. So, oh God, where are my keys? I don't have my keys. I'd be jangling them otherwise, because that's some jangling going on. You see the Eternal Gallery? Is it the Eternal Gallery? I think it's the Eternal Gallery. Is like the super library of Star Trek. And that's where the next clue is, because the clue is in this Beta Z book. Beta Z? Hey, Beta's wife, remember? She's like, I got to get my keys. Yeah, here we go. All right, thank God. Had him when I did Ahsoka. Beta Z, I remember Counselor Troy. I remember Laxana Troy. Yeah, Beta Z, yay. I thought the whole reason they went to the 32nd century was just so they could tell news stories. I guess, whatever. So they get their way through the Badlands, and they have a tough time of it. You would think over 800 years they'd have figured out a way to navigate the Badlands better. And they get to the archive, and the archive is the curator of the archive, the chief librarian is, what the heck is her name? Hyrel. And she's kind of quirky. She's really happy-go-lucky.
Very exciting. We love visitors. I'll be explaining how to get into the archive in a moment, but first there's a little speech we like to give.
And Burnham's going to be on board by herself until the librarian says, oh, you got a Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon? You got a Qui-Gon on board.
Qui-Gon?
There's a crossover. You got a Qui-Gon on board, because Book is a Qui-Gon. And what I've learned is his planet got destroyed somehow. So she's like, oh, we got a very unique Qui-Gon artifact here. Why don't you bring him on? So once again, Captain Mikey's leading the away team with her boyfriend to be, ex-boyfriend, whatever.
Matchmaker, make me a match.
So they go on board the library, and Hyrel shows Burnham the book. She finds this little metal disc inside, presses it, lights up. While that's happening, Book is shown Qui-Gon artifact they have, which turns out to be roots. They're called world roots. We know Moll has the idea that the Scion can be brought back to life using the Progenitor weapon. Book's planet has been destroyed. He's got something called world roots, so maybe we're looking at like a Genesis device, Genesis planet like thing. So Book goes back to find Captain Mikey, find her on the floor unconscious, but she is not in fact unconscious. No, she's in some sort of mindscape construct. Basically, she's in her own mind. And that's, I guess, where she's going to solve the puzzle. That's where she's going to get the clue. Now, we have a guide show up in Mikey's mind. It's actually not Book. It's her mind creating basically someone who's important on her mind. And at one point, she finds him frustrating the way he's talking, not really being as helpful as he could. Just point out this is literally her mind not being helpful.
Because she's stupid.
She then starts figuring out clues. So the first thing she does is look into the Dominion War, because that's when all this was happening originally. That's when the Progenitor device was being hidden. So she goes back and starts looking through a bunch of books to find out about the Dominion War.
So we'll go through all the books on the Dominion War. Go from there. Where's the history section?
Have you thought about what might happen if you fail?
No.
Now, the interesting thing about the way Mikey reacts to researching into the Dominion War is just how right she feels about this. She's like, I got it. I know it's the Dominion War. That's where I'm going to go find my answer. Well, that's a dead end. Turns out to be not the right way to go. And she asked the book simulation, her psychic book friend, why'd you let me go down that path?
Why didn't you tell me?
You didn't ask. I told you everything in here was for a reason. You assumed the reason was history.
Oh.
And he's like, I'm your subconscious. You chose that path, ain't on me. And then, book shows her the book Labyrinths, and she's like, oh, wait, it's a maze. So again, Captain Mikey has solved it. She now realizes she has to find a way out of the room where she's in, out of this maze that she's in, to get back to where she started.
Getting out is how I find the clue. I am supposed to find my way out, back to the reading room where it all started, right?
So she's great at math. I mean, what isn't Captain Mikey great at? So she's able to calculate a way out, and she uses sand to track, basically like leaving breadcrumbs. She heads off on the way to find her way out. Now, while Captain Mikey's knocked out, Rayner, Culber beam over to check out, see what's going on with our unconscious captain. While this is all happening, the Breen show up, and they're pretty powerful, of course. Really, I kind of think they're OP, way more power than they should be. Discovery recognizes they're not going to be able to hang in a fight with them, so they take off and hide in the Badlands. Well, those darn Breen, Primarch Ruin, he wants that clue too. He demands to come on board, acts all threatening, which is against the way that the library should be. So the library raises his shields, and they start using this tunneling device to get some people in. So while Burnham is, flat out cold, Culber tries to keep her alive because she's fading. She's not doing well in the mindscape. Book and Rayner go off to fight the Breen, who are able to get aboard the ship. And actually, they're doing a pretty decent job. We get a weird, interesting visual on board the Breen ship, seeing the perspective of the Breen as they're, in a phaser fight with Book and Rayner. It kind of reminds me of a first-person shooter. But the important thing here is, Ruin's trips are losing, and he might be losing some support there on the Breen ship. Is he the guy to lead? Too bad that Scion's not here, because they could follow that Scion. Yeah, that's a point we'll get back to. So Mikey realizes her trying to sort out the way out of the maze isn't working. She basically has reached the end of her rope.
Screw you.
The lights are going dim, meaning the mindscape is shutting down. It's going to take her with it. She's, she's trying to figure out what's going on, and eventually she realizes that it's not finding a way out. The test is basically about personality. And she basically says, if I don't do this mission, I don't know who I am.
And admit that if I don't complete this mission, then I don't know who I am.
She admits that, she made a mistake with Book.
And what?
We didn't fix it.
She should have been more open in a relationship, but she was afraid. You see, Captain Mikey is afraid.
I'm afraid a lot.
5 years. 5 years we've seen Captain Mikey being very confident, being very strong, being very forthright, having all the right answers. But in fact, she's afraid.
The great Michael Burnham. Afraid.
What's she afraid of? Failure.
More than I'd like to admit.
She and in the end, she's like, I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better at it, but it feels good to say it out loud to Book, even if he's not the real Book. And
actually feels good to say it out loud.
then she's like, well, what's the actual what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to get out of this? And Book's like, well, you passed the test.
Can you at least tell me what the test was?
No need. You've passed.
Yeah, you see, it was always a test of personality. It was a test of humility. And this calls for a couple things. First one, let's just go a little bit of MCU route.
You are unworthy of these realms.
We don't want someone who's prideful.
Unworthy of your title.
To be holding the most important power in the galaxy, the power of creation, the Progenitor's device.
Dear Lord, do you think we're intelligent enough to?
We want someone humble, who recognizes their humility, who's worthy of the power of Thor.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Yeah, literally, it's like, oh my God, I'm worthy. Yeah, so Mikey's worthy. I got another point, though.
Most can't admit those things to themselves. That you can. This is the only way you can be trusted to do the right thing with so much power.
So anyway, she does figure it out. She solved the puzzle by admitting that she's got problems. And because she's got problems, she's worthy of taking on this great power. No other person in the history of the Progenitors hiding away this device has ever come this far and made such an admission. Only Captain Mikey. Why? Because she's Captain Mikey. So she bursts back, to consciousness. The book simulation in her mind told her where the clue is. She goes and gets it just as the Breen arrive and, shoot up the place.
Commander, now! Energize!
The Breen ultimately agree not to blow up the Eternal Gallery if they get the device. So Mikey puts the device together, gets the map so they can trace the location, and agrees to hand it over on the condition of some weird Breen blood oath that Primarch Room swears to. And then he opens fire on the Discovery. Now the Discovery jumps away and leaves a bunch of plasma and debris behind, so it looks like it blew up. So they think the Discovery's gone, but they're still there with the Eternal Gallery, and that's when Ruin decides, I'm going to blow up the gallery too. I don't know why. There's some sacred Breen artifacts on board. He's just going to take it out because, you know what? He's just a dick. That's what we got. That's your message from this. He's a bad ruler. He's all selfish. He's only using the Scion for his own purposes, the dead Scion. So he just wants power. Well, guess who's there to turn things around? That's right. Moll challenges him and takes him out.
How dare you!
Yeah, our bad Harley Quinn cosplay kills the Primarch, has all the Breen turn their staff weapons on her, and then basically she says, I will bring the Scion back to life, and he will rule you all. And it's like, yeah, Moll, all right. Now basically this tiny little Harley Quinn cosplay wannabe is now running the Breen. And they're all okay with it. I mean, fucking girl power.
Girl power, yay, oh my God.
Back on the Discovery, they have some heavy damage. They're not far from the location that the Progenitor device is. But their spore drive is shot, their warp drive is shot. They determine it's going to take 6 hours for the Breen to get there. With the spore drive fix, they can be there like that because we love our spore drive.
Your spore drive is genius.
So they got to get things done in 5 hours. That's right, the chase is on. So here we come barreling into our certainly exciting last 2 episodes.
It's exciting.
I drew an analogy to MCU Thor. Thor had to learn a lesson to be worthy of the power of Thor to get Mjolnir back, and that's kind of what Mikey did here. Let me tell you why I don't think this is very well earned. Again, I did not see season 3, season 4. I saw season 1 and 2, and I'm seeing this. Throughout this, we have seen Michael Burnham be the rightest person ever. Yeah, she did, mutiny, but she did it for the right reasons. Everything she's done has always been right, and everyone else is just wrong. All the admirals agree, you're right, Captain Mikey, we got to follow your lead. So that's why this revelation of, I'm afraid of failure, after 5 years of just being the most perfect person, I think it rings hollow. I don't think it rings true for the character. And I think it's kind of shallow. They're trying to give some sense of character, some sense of realism to an unrealistic Mary Sue-like character. As far as I can see, that's how I would describe her. Now, she goes into the Mindscape to learn about herself. You know why I think that was a good idea? Why? Because I've seen it done right. That's right. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. "31 years ago, premiered with The Emissary, a very mournful, post-traumatic Benjamin Sisko takes command of Deep Space Nine. And you can see he's still hurting. He's still hurting from the loss of his wife. And of course, he and Dax accidentally discover the wormhole. And then, he's sort of captured by the wormhole beings, who the Bajorans refer to as the prophets. Now, throughout this, we have a recurring theme. The wormhole aliens, the prophets, do not understand linear time. So Sisko takes on the responsibility of teaching these aliens what linear time is. And he goes through periods of his life. We see him playing baseball with Jake. We see when Jake is born. We see, his relationship with his deceased wife, Jennifer, when they first met. And he's explaining how all these are important points in his life. But the thing is, they always go back to one point, and that's where Jennifer dies. That's when she's killed in the Battle of Wolf 359 on the Saratoga. And it's actually, it's one of those haunting scenes where Sisko's pulled out of the room. Jennifer's dead body is trapped under a bulkhead that fell on her. And he's pulled out screaming, wailing, because he can't save his wife.
Sir, damn it! We just can't leave her here! Oh! Oh!
Looking back on it now, it's there's something hauntingly realistic about it. And it really serves as a lesson about Ben Sisko. Because in the end, he says, the aliens keep saying, well, you keep bringing us back here. You keep bringing us back here. And Sisko realizes, I never left here.
And I have never figured out how to live without her.
So you choose to exist here.
Yeah, he never dealt with his trauma. He never dealt with the damage of losing his wife, and he's never been able to. So the reason why I analogize that and differentiate it from this is because we are being introduced to Ben Sisko as an emotionally damaged man. And that's all we know of him. We know he's a Starfleet commander. We know he's a single father raising a child. And we know that his wife is dead. And we learn, he has this trauma. And we see him process that trauma. The reason why I think that works is because that's how we were presented Ben Sisko. We were not presented Ben Sisko as, hey, I'm Ben Sisko. I know everything for the last 5 years. No, that's what we've had, Captain Mikey be. Do no wrong, Captain Mikey. I'm right every damn time. So that's why I think it's false. That's why I think the better exploration of a person's inner feelings and inner trauma, inner failure is what they did with Deep Space Nine. And that's Benjamin Sisko's experience. And that's actually probably why he's a much better character. And honestly, why Deep Space Nine, of all the Star Trek series, in my opinion, has some of the best character development for every character on that show. If you're not watching Deep Space Nine, go rewatch it. Honestly, great watch. I'm going to do a live watch at some point. So, looking back all on this was just, this could have been done shorter. We got a little bit of nice action sequence, and then we got the very realistic overthrow of the Primarch by our 32nd century Harley Quinn. Whatever. So 2 more episodes left. The chase is on. I'm certain it's going to be fantastic, dynamic, and exciting.
That sounded very sincere. Thank you very much.
We know Locke's coming back to life. We know Moll's going to turn back to good, and Book's planet's coming back. And of course, Captain Mikey saves the world. Questions, comments, witticisms down below. Click all those good buttons. See you guys next time.